Hello. Things are going to be a little more different. I just want to update you guys before we actually start the video. I am officially moving out of my house. I live in my college dorms as of right now. And to make it easier to make videos, I am planning on using my persona as a way to express my reactions throughout these types of videos. So yeah, that's kind of like the new thing that I'm doing. So yeah, this is kind of like an experiment. Keep in mind that I have different furry commissions that I'm using, although at some point I will commission an artist to do multiple of the same personas, expressions, and stuff like that, although I guess that'll be really expensive, which is the reason why I haven't done it yet. But I just wanted to update y'all and tell you all that I'm working on doing different things to make it easier for myself. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Bye. Let me give you some context. I took a horror movie class during the summer where I watched over 30 different horror movies in the span of 3 months, which was a very fun time, not even gonna lie. So in this video, I'm gonna be going through all of these 30 horror movies and I'm gonna be putting them on a tier list. Now my tier list has 5 different tiers. Undeniable classic, where the movie is just absolutely perfect and iconic in every single way. A damn good time, which is not on the same level as an undeniable classic, but I had a lot of fun with it. There might be one flaw that kept it from going to the next level, but it's still, I enjoyed it a lot, basically. It was a height, means that I didn't find it as entertaining as I wanted it to, I guess. It's kind of just mid. It's not good enough to be in the upper tiers. It's not bad enough to be in the other tiers, so it's in the middle. Nah, I'm good are movies that I did not particularly enjoy, although they had elements that made me appreciate them more than the tier that's below it. Boring, which is the tier that I put movies in whenever I deem them to be too boring. that's as simple as I can get with that. But yeah, let's go ahead and start. I don't want this movie to be too long. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This was a very interesting start to the class. Honestly, like I really enjoyed the rustic feel to this film, with everything always feeling old in an abandoned building type of way. The connection with how humans treat animals and our antagonist's philosophy definitely brings an interesting question to the film, but it just kind of loses its meaning as the film kind of continues on, as it acts like a subtext rather than like the main point of the film. But either way, this was a very intriguing film to watch and a very fun one to study. The chase scene at the end kind of does go on for way too long, which is why I bumped it down a tier. But overall, this movie has such great set design and good costumes and stuff like that that like really make it iconic in a lot of ways. It's a damn good time. The Exorcist. This started off slow, but as soon as shit went down, it really just became one of the most terrifying films that I've ever watched. The usage of subtle scares, including the images they use and the sound effects throughout the film, just keeps you on edge. I also really like how they presented the religion versus mental health question, although that isn't developed as much with how possessed the girl becomes. As soon as, you know, it starts happening, you realize it's definitely not her being mentally unwell. That is definitely her being possessed. So yeah, there's that. You know, this makes more sense if you actually watch the movie, but overall this movie is just truly haunting in such a memorable way. It's an undeniable classic. Night of the Living Dead. I respect this one more than I like it, if I'm gonna be honest. The fact that this is important when it comes to POC representation in horror and themes that talk about the decreasing trust in our government all had me respect what I was watching, but I wasn't really engaged with it, and you know, that's particularly because it's old. But yeah, it's definitely not bad or anything, especially because it's like the first zombie film ever. There's just so many other movies that like took the structure that this built and made it into something truly special. I still respect the hell out of this movie, and when my time watching it was enjoyable enough for it to go to the it was a high tier. Halloween. This one was just very silly, but I liked how they play on the whole innocent neighborhood being terrorized by someone, especially with how this is one of the first to actually do it right. Seeing all these people make dumb decisions was really fun, knowing the context that, people used to do stupid shit like this back then. And, yeah, I mean, maybe they did. I actually have no idea. I never lived back then. But yeah, it seems like something that these innocent white people would do. But yeah, this movie overall was a damn good time. Alien. This one had scenes that went on for way too long, if I'm gonna be honest. I would be a terrible human being, though, if I didn't admit how iconic this film was overall. The context of its existence, the way it was made. It was iconic and it had so many layers to like it. The movie itself was fine, but like the context really made me like this movie. It's a damn good time. Hellraiser. This one is also a bit silly. There's this whole overacting issue that is just so distracting. But like the special effects were just so ahead of its time that like I really appreciate the movie way more than like a lot of other people would. I also like how the movie plays out like a play too, because the actors were all like stage actors, like they were genuine in terms of that. And the scares at the end portion were also like really fun. So like this movie was a damn good time. The Shining. I saw this one so long ago already, and I didn't really get the chance to see this one in class, but I guess I can just talk about my enjoyment of the film overall. I really love this film. I know a lot of people don't like it because of the slow pacing, but it works for me because you really get to see the progression of insanity that every single character goes through. I think it's funny how my least favorite component of this movie is just completely axed by the end, and yet they still decide to use it in the reboot. Anyways, this film has a remarkable cinematography that should be taught in every class, and stunning acting that is truly a one-time thing with how much abuse these actors had to go through. Yeah, I have to acknowledge the fact that what happened in the behind the scenes of this movie was incredibly unethical, to say the very least. I would still call this an undeniable classic, but I am very self-aware of how this movie was filmed and how not okay it was. 28 days later. I didn't know a zombie movie could actually have this much depth. I mean, literally the very first zombie movie had social commentary on race. But this one is just so good. It's absolutely amazing with how it shows the true nature of how disgusting human beings can be, with incredible storytelling and character development. Undeniable classic! The Descent. I absolutely love the way they shot this film, with all the dark shots feeling just so natural. I enjoyed the chemistry between all the random characters before, they all got murked. And there's not really much to say about the movie other than it was really fun to watch. It's a damn good time. The Blair Witch Project. Oh, God. Not this section. Not the found footage section. I slept through this one, to be honest. I don't plan on going back to watch it because it's just so boring. I'm not over-exaggerating when I say that nothing ever happens in this movie. I still respect it. The way it was marketed, the whole process of filming. There's a lot of behind the scenes information that makes it interesting. But it's not a fun movie to watch. At all. It's never gonna watch this movie ever again. It's a nah, I'm good. It's not bad enough to be boring. But you know what is? Paranormal Activity. This one I legit also slept through. I don't particularly respect this one though, unlike the last one. Although I will give them this, they were smart with how low the budget is because of how much money they made from it. This one was hated by my whole class. By the time we finished watching it, we all thought it was stupid. We watching this movie, if you haven't watched this, if you watched it back then, thought it was good, you should rewatch it now and you'll understand why it's aged so poorly. Where do I start? Unlikable characters who do unrealistic shit for an hour and a half. Jump scares being incredibly ineffective every single time. Maybe it was fun when I was a kid, but this one just sucks. A lot. It's boring. Grave Encounters. Now this is how you do a found footage movie. Absolutely love the beginning with how it satirized the paranormal shows that exploit its editing to trick viewers into thinking ghost hunting is actually more interesting than it really is. The location of the place they go to is also very trippy because it changes throughout the movie. We see how our characters slowly go crazy as we don't know how much time they've really spent in this place. Overall, this movie is just, it's so much fun to watch. I want to say it's completely perfect because I think It does go on for a little bit too long, but it's a damn good time. Candyman. This one is one of my all-time favorite horror movies, and there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, the social commentary really adds to the film in a unique way, and it's also straight up blunt with it. The way it progresses is so interesting because it starts off as like a deep look into poverty and racism and how it creates urban legends like this in the first place. It then turns into a psychological horror film as we see our character internally conflicted on whether or not she's going crazy. The way it's all executed is so good and beautifully shot at times. You know, I honestly want to make a whole movie. What? I honestly want to make a video on this movie later, so I'll just keep it short for now, but there's a lot of reasons why I enjoyed this film for, you know, what it is. Undeniable classic. The Sixth Sense. This one had genuinely great storytelling. And, you know, I've never have realized that child actors could actually be good. That, you know, this kid got, oh shit, emotional. Like, you really cared for this kid when time came. I don't really know how they got him to be on that level, but congrats to Sora for just being so goated. The Others. Can't really say too much about this without spoiling, you know, because the whole movie is kind of derived off of the ending and how it builds up to it. But just know that it's a brilliant ass ending. It's one of those movies you'll watch for a second time for that new perspective. Damn good time. The Thing. An absolute classic. It doesn't need many words at all. What I gotta say is that the pacing is perfect and the tone is set up in a way that encapsulates the film overall in a sufficient way. Wow, I used big boy words for that one. Undeniable classic, Splinter. The rat from the TMNT movies is a pretty cool deal. This one is short but sweet and gets straight to the point with its concept. It was a fun watch and it had some pretty cool effects too. There's some interesting body horror that intrigued me, and it was just a very fun experience. Nothing too special. It's a damn good time. Now this is part 2 of the class. All these movies are foreign films, so keep that in mind. Ringu. It's crazy how this is the only movie where I actually prefer the US remake. And I swear that is the case here and not with any other movie in existence. Okay, I'm sorry. I just like how fleshed out it is in the US remake. I mean, this one is just okay. There's some weird storytelling that didn't really make it clear what was happening, you know? And, you know, the remake really kind of made it work for me. It was alright, you know? Ju-on. This one was so disjointed. There was like 5 different movies in one, but it was still fun. All the scares were pretty creative. Every story's introduced, every story introduced had interesting themes that all connected surprisingly well together. Especially because of how separate all these stories just happen to be. It's a definite damn good time. Y'all should just check it out. Audition. The coloring in some scenes in this is just absolutely amazing and beautiful. I also like how effective the infamous scenes are. Those sound effects are just so grueling and fucked up. The fact that it only really makes up like 5 minutes of this 2-hour movie is like just incredible to me. The fact that anyone who watches this movie knows it specifically for that scene, but there's just so much build up to it, and that build-up is just absolutely amazing, and the fact that no one talks about that just really showcases how fucked up that moment really was. Overall, it's a movie that takes you on a damn good journey through a mysterious woman who has the darkest intentions, and that's not a spoiler because like she's on the cover with the needle. I don't know what to tell you. It's an undeniable classic. The Orphanage, or Orfanato. This one has such a fucked up ending. Like, kind of reminded me of The Others in terms of like how it misdirects you, and it was just, I can't really talk about it because I'll end up spoiling it, and the whole point of the movie is that you don't know what to expect, and when you see it, it really fucks you up, and that's kind of like the point of these films. That's why it's so fun, and why you should never spoil these movies for yourself. And it's funny because I have so much to say about the spoilers in the first place, but just know that copium is a strong ass drug. It's a damn good time. Wreck. This one was just so much fun to watch, especially with the whole class. You know, it's a very engaging film throughout you know, I like the only really bad thing I have to say about it is that the ending slows down way too much and it throws so much pointless exposition in your face without any reason to care, because like it's the end of the movie and it just, why we don't need an explanation for this. Okay, it's a fun zombie movie. Don't give us a pointless exposition at the end of your zombie movie. It's stupid and doesn't make any sense. It's still a great movie that gives us a lot of fun scales and dynamic dialogue, and it's all enough to make it a damn good time. Tigers Are Not Afraid. Oh my god, this one was so sad. I really love the juxtaposition between the violence the children have to face and the fantasy elements that the little girl has to utilize in order to cope with all of it. It's sad and impactful with its message. It's one of those movies that never holds back, even with how young these characters are. Heavy respect for this one. This one had the whole class emotional, undeniable classic. Train to Busan. I mean, it's Train to Busan. What is there to say? Watch it, okay? I don't need to explain why it's good. We all know why it's good. The fact that you don't is disappointing. It's an undeniable classic. Shudder. Jesus! This movie was great. This movie was great. This one had the whole class in legitimate chills with how it reveals itself. It's a really great example of how a film can frame itself to make you think one way before showing something completely different that messes with your perspective. It's not truly like that unpredictable. You can probably figure out what's happening, but the way it unravels itself just feels incredible with how the pacing adds to it. It's just all perfectly matched together. It's an undeniable classic. The Eye. This movie is so camp. It's such a camp movie. I was laughing throughout this whole movie, and I've never done that before. I felt so bad, but like legitimately this movie sucked. I don't know what to say other than it has some inconsistent tone shifts and weird editing choices, and the fact that I found out that two people directed this movie in different scenes of it really kind of explains why everything just went so wrong. It's not, I'm good. This one gave me some good entertainment, but it's not a good movie. His House. This one hits so hard. This one just goes so hard. It goes so hard and doesn't need to. Okay, the scares, this extremely creative with how much they utilize the house space. This is another movie that like has such a great unraveling of like this mystery that just they hold it in front of your face, and as soon as you finally get to solving the mystery of what really happened, it really punches you in your emotions. This one also has great refreshing commentary when it comes to the issues that comes with the survival's guilt that refugees face. It's an undeniable classic. Babadook. He's a gay icon in every. It's the gayest icon in the truest way ever possible. It's a gay icon. What can I say about the Babadook? Gay, 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 gay. This one was also a ton of fun. I didn't like the ending though. It was I don't know why they ended it like the way they did, but just know that the rest of the movie had interesting concepts that were fleshed out in satisfying ways. And Australians go brrr. It's a damn good time. Let the right one in. Subtle themes of trans issues is always something I'll write for. This one, it was a great time with some actually genuinely good child acting. The character development is also great to watch, although one problem I do have with the movie are the implications at the end, which I'm not going to get into because I would be spoiling the movie. It's a damn good time. High tension. This title just overplays the actual movie itself. It's just such an underwhelming experience, to say the very least. And it's mostly because of the ending that just completely takes you out of the movie. It's just such a terrible, terrible ending. You know, it's just like it tries to pull an M. Night Shyamalan and makes it even worse than that. I'm like literally tried to make it work for me because like this movie has interesting themes of sexual repression, but they executed it in a way that felt so forced and unnecessary. And it's funny because like the movie starts out in such a great way, you know. The beginning was genuinely terrifying and like the violence in it was just so fucked up, but like they mess it up so hard in the third act. It was so bad. They messed it up so hard, but because of the beginning, I'm only gonna give it an I'm good. But like thinking about the twist more and more really ruined the experience for me. Frontiers. This one was insane and went all over the place. This movie had no room for relief whatsoever, which is something I sometimes like, but there's just so much here. There's just too much. The different perspectives we have don't go anywhere. Cause like it just doesn't really matter because you know the last third is just so ridiculous. And it'll either annoy the hell out of you or you'll enjoy it just because of how ridiculous it is. This movie isn't good as much as it is just, you know, ridiculous. Just extremely messy for no reason. Nah, I'm good. This Martyrs. This one was well made. I guess that's the only thing I can really say about it because it's not really a movie I'll ever really forgive or recommend to anyone. So I guess it's a classic, but I'm not even gonna put it on the tier list. It doesn't deserve the tier list. It doesn't. Get it out of here. Trollhunters. This one was such an absolute blast. The comedy mixes well with the fantasy and drama elements throughout. This one has This one has intriguing and well-developed world building that I'm glad they kept vague. I do wish the ending was a bit more fleshed out instead of left to interpretation, since the way that the characters ended up in the at the end of their arcs was just not really satisfactory in my opinion. But overall, this was a very fun movie. And it's you just need to watch it. It's a damn good time. Goodnight Mommy. The cinematography was great, but this one was just too slow for me. It had a genuinely interesting plot though, and I liked how it tries to misdirect you multiple of times. Don't really have much to say, but like if it wasn't that slow, it would have been a damn good time. But I can only give it was alright. Also, Goodnight Mommy had like one of the most like predictable twists I've ever seen in a movie. It was Cannibal Holocaust is the final movie we'll be talking about. And it sucks. It's a bad movie. It's a movie that I understand the point of, but it's just a genuinely awful viewing experience. I do recognize its influence as a found footage horror, but like, it was just not really fun. It was really, 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 really bad, I guess. I don't really have any words for it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my spooky Halloween video. Ooh. I don't know how I'm gonna edit that. I hope you enjoyed the movie, and I hope you enjoyed the way that it was edited. It's a bit different. My face isn't included in it. It's a bit of a whoopsie. Whoopsie.